What are your biggest pet peeves when it comes to the job search process?
I think, first and foremost, it's the typographical errors. I think those are the ones that immediately stand out. And additionally, it's something where I don't see a focus on their resume. In other words, if you're applying, let's say, for a role in the financial industry, I'd like to see that all the roles you've had up to that point were related to some extent to the financial industry. And when I see, for instance, that you've done, for example, a marketing role, it kind of detracts from that.
I have a couple. In resumes, I would say definitely things like formatting, spelling mistakes, bullets that just go too long, where somebody's basically like telling the story, and that's not the point of the resume. The point of the resume is to pique interest, because typically a recruiter will spend maybe 15-20 seconds on a resume, not more than that. And if it doesn't catches the eye, it's easier for a recruiter to say no to a resume than to say yes. And so you want them to say yes, and it has to be very concise. So I would say, lack of formatting, spelling mistakes, grammatical mistakes. When a resume will just go page after page, and even will have like an empty page in the middle. It shows sloppiness, and it shows that somebody's they haven't spent the time to really proof it. And if that's how they are with the resume, they're not going to do well in their job. In person, I would say I do appreciate direct approach, but at the same time, I've seen candidates who are almost too direct, when they either just ask for a job or they want, a recruiter or myself to do the work for them. And my pet peeve is, if you want my help, I'm happy to help you, but you need to be the one to own your career. You have to be the one to have done your research. And when somebody comes to me not unfocused or has not done the research, they don't know what our products are. It just shows, lack of passion, lack of researching, which means it won't be a fit, at least not for Google.
One of mine personally, and this is because I grew up in a very formal environment, a lot of times candidates will drop the formalities and eventually, should you come on and should you join the team, we'll all be buddy and we'll all be friendly with each other. But during the recruitment process, it is employer and employee, and even though over time that goes away, it's important to not destroy that line right away, because you have to wait for the cue that that's okay.
What are some of the biggest mistakes you see candidates making in their job search process?
I think one of the things I don't particularly care to see is when a candidate is not vested in the interview, meaning that their body language says that they're not really focusing, they're not paying attention. I've had candidates, for instance, where I'll be, trying to make eye contact with them, and they're looking out the window, or they're staring at the floor. That doesn't bode well. I also don't like it when candidates don't have any questions. Right? The idea here is that it's a synergistic conversation. It's one where they're trying to find out about the company, about the role, and vice versa. I'm trying to find out whether they're a good fit for the role or not.
Great question. I think the first one is probably lack of focus. So candidates that the way that I sort of describe it is they're just looking at all parameters. They're just exploring jobs A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and there's no clear focus on what they want to do. And it makes it really difficult because, especially for us, we have a lot of roles open, and it makes it difficult to assess what the candidate's really skills are. And that's one of the things that I think is one of the most difficult things when we see candidates apply.
So having a targeted resume is very important.
Having a targeted resume, and even if the resume has a lot of skills, but something that just calls out very clearly what the candidate wants and what they're trying to accomplish and what role they're looking for, is typically very helpful.
And you should be able to tell that just by looking at the resume very quickly.
Yeah, you can if it's very specific roles like software engineer or like an operations manager, then it's sort of called out in the last position that they're in or positions that they've been in throughout their career. If they've done a lot, then something like an overview summary, like a high-level summary, executive summary that just calls out exactly what they're looking for. Mm-hmm. It just helps ground their search a bit better.
I think I'm going to flip this question a little bit. I think the right way to conduct the job search is to find that sweet spot, to figure out what you like to do, and to truly assess what roles are going to give you exposure to that kind of work. a lot of times I see candidates going either too wide or too narrow. So they'll come out, and I work for a bank. A lot of times you'll hear candidates say like, oh, I've watched Wall Street and I want to do investment banking. And why? They don't really know. They want to talk to clients. Hundreds of jobs will give you that experience. At the same time, candidates they'll basically have that fear of missing out, and they'll just apply to every job out there. And it's really important to gauge your skill set, because again, if I'm going to invite you in to talk to a job talking to people and you don't like talking to people, it's not going to go very far.